Hello, good evening, SC viewers. This is Satellite Media. Let us look at this much talked about ownership mentality of Nigeria by Northerners. I'm talking about Arewa, and by extension, the Fulani. I'm looking at it from the angle of some comment on Twitter. This one is coming from Bunka E. He's saying, Arewa North and Britain were joint colonizers of Nigeria in an agreement known as a dual mandate. You go further to say that the British handed over Nigeria to them in trust and gifted the middle belt into the estate of Usman Dan Fodio, as Arewa could use the vast lands and people as leverage to control the South in an undemocratic way. I think this now will take us into the statement that was accredited to Samad Bello. I think he made that statement in 1960, October 12th, where he was quoted to have said, he said, "We must ruthlessly prevent the change of power. We use the minority in the North as willing tools on the South, as a conquered territory, and never allow them to have control over our future." Now we are going to be looking at his reaction from Nigerians and what the people think about this. So I think let me first of all say that that mentality, that ownership mentality of Nigeria by any group of person, by any individual, by any nationality is wrong by all standards. If the people must be together as a country, as a one nation, everybody must be taken into consideration, and everybody must exercise his right, and as the case may be. But let me look at this one is coming from Atoba Tele. He's saying that it is now clearer why the hegemonic North is fearful of fiscal federalism, restructuring stroke, resource control. Certainly, administering these Nigerians under the current unitary constitution is a quick roadmap to future anarchy. The coming generations will definitely not take this. Okay, let us look at it from the point that the way it is, certainly we are seeing stiff resistance from the North sequel to the federal government's proposal for the new taxing system. We understand that the North have been very vocal in their opposition to that bill, because I think according to them, this is going to make their people poorer. And I think it's becoming clearer why the North will not want anything that will tinker with the current status quo. Because the way it is, however I look at it, I think that the greatest beneficiary of the current fraudulent status quo. And I think personally, I've always made it clear that I'm not a supporter of Senator Amebola Tinubu's government. I didn't vote for him in 2023. I don't even hope to vote for him in 2027. But the fact remains that the North must change this ownership mentality. And the North must understand that whether they like it or not, the current status quo that is fraudulent cannot continue. The Nigeria as a nation must be restructured. And we understand that if anybody writes to say, I want to secede, like we have seen in the case of Biafra agitators and even Ududu agitators, the northern part of the country, particularly the Fulani, will always rise up to say, we want one Nigeria. You want one Nigeria and you want to have control over the people. I think that will not continue. I think, personally, if not for any reason, the restructuring that the tax reform bills will bring is a welcome development. We understand that currently the president is determined that the bill must see the light of the day. I understand that the governors forum have met recently and tried to present their own position with respect to the sharing formula of tax. And currently, I think their position has to do with, they have the view that going forward, if that is to say true, that the sharing formula should be 50% on the basis of equity, 30% on the basis of derivation, and 20% on the basis of population. But on the contrary, I think what is contained in the bill has to do with 60% on the basis of derivation. But the way it is, I think the North must have to learn in a hard way, if you ask me, because you cannot benefit at the expense of others. We have had situations where we make a law and say you don't want to consume alcohol, and you turn around to benefit from the tax that accrues into the federal government coffers through alcohol. At the end of the day, you are not faced with a hazard associated with the consumption of alcohol, and you end up benefiting from it. I understand that someone like the governor of Borno State made it very clear that the tax base is against the North, that is not going to benefit the North, and as such, that they're against it. He's not only one in that vanguard. We're equally seeing the likes of Senator Abuningi from Bauchi State speaking vehemently against it, that he wants the current status quo to be maintained. The reason he wants the current status quo is not far-fetched, because if he's not benefiting the current fraudulent status quo, he will not want the current status quo to be maintained. We understand that the South, Southeast, and Southwest are for the bill, those bill, but the North are vehement against it. We're equally seeing the lies of the governor of Bauchi State, of course, who made it very clear that if the president is not ready to listen to the North, that the North will show the president their true color. Even went further the other day to say that the president trajectory is a recipe for anarchy. But the point is, it doesn't matter the opinion of anyone, though this Bauchi State governor have since said that he never threatened the president after the presidency raised the issue of his threats. He had made it clear that he didn't threaten the president. But the point is, this ownership entitlement mentality of the North must be checked. Like I said, I'm not a fan of Tinubu, but the North must realize that they do not own this country, and every attempt to restructure or to make any other place, any other part of the country have fair share of whatever is for everybody should not be resisted. We've already seen the lies of Senator, the lies of Senator, the popular senator from Borno State, talking about, I cannot remember the name now, but I'm talking about Senator Alin Dume from Borno State, who have made it very clear, even from the beginning of the bill, that those bills will be dead on arrival. And we have seen stiff resistance from northern senators, northern rep, House of Rep members, and even governors from that region. We're going to see the situation where the House of Assembly in House of Assembly in Kano State will come out with a communique saying they are rejecting that bill. So the point is, it is irrespective of anybody's opinion. Nobody should have entitlement. Nobody should have entitlement mentality when it comes to issue of ownership of Nigeria. So on that basis, we are saying, let the bill see the light of the day, irrespective of the opinion of anyone from the North. Okay, I think we're still going to look at what is coming from some other Nigerians with respect to this. Okay, this one is coming from Rita. This one is coming from Rita. He's saying, Southwest and North matter now family issues. North put Tinubu for power. Same North is crying that Tinubu is cheating them. Who will settle their matter? South, Southeast, just the waka pass. Una well done. But I think this is not a question of standing aloof, because if you look at what is coming from Rita, he's suggesting that the South, and Southeast should stand aloof and watch as event unfold. I think this is a matter that involves and concerns everybody, because we are talking about how the people should be coexisting going forward. I've taken pain to look at the position of a former governor of Bayelsa State, who is now a senator, talking about Senator the former senator, yes, the former governor of Bayelsa State, who is now a senator. His position is very clear that going forward, if these bills are to see the light of the day, that in the same way, the people who are generating revenue should have a better share. That personal income tax of oil workers that Lagos State enjoy, that it should be taken back to area where you have the operational base of oil companies in Nigeria. We understand that currently Lagos State benefit immensely in that regard, being headquartered to almost all the oil company majors in Nigeria. I'm talking about the former governor of Bayelsa State, who of course is very vocal, that the same way you are saying if you consumption tax is more in Lagos, people who consume are more in Lagos, by the time you are sharing the revenue, let Lagos be considered to benefit in relation to what they bring to the table. In the same way that if oil revenue accruing to federal government through personal income tax of oil workers should come to Niger Delta. So I'm talking about Serek Edison, that is Senator Serek Edison, of course, who was the former governor of Bayelsa State and now is serving senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Let me look at another area from other Nigerians who are equally lending their voice to this major issue of national discourse. I'm coming, let me get another person from here who is talking about okay, I think yes. No, the point is at this level, everybody should be rest assured that whether you like the face of the president, talking about Senator Bola Tinubu, whether I don't like his face, I think there are some actions that he's taken that is a necessity. Like I said, I am not a fan of Tinubu himself. I never voted for him in 2023. I don't have intention of voting for him in 2027. His policies are equally hitting hard on the people. I personally disagree in most areas of his policies, and I'm of the view that some area of his policy be reviewed. Though it's quite unfortunate that even after the president made it clear from the beginning that if need be, there will be need to review some of his policies, but the president seems not to be willing to review most of those policies. Personally, I'm of the view that hence all the stakeholders have agreed that subsidy on gasoline should go, and government made it very clear that they'll be getting 4 trillion at the end of every year from the subsidy, from the removal of subsidy on gasoline. I'm of the view that that was not the same time you remove subsidy on gasoline is not the same way you would have unified efforts at the official window. I saw the president during the Unitary period when he was talking about how to reduce inflation from 34.6% to about 15%. And I begin to wonder, I begin to ask, how could it be achieved? Because if you look at all the parameters, all the indices, you begin to ask yourself, how did the president hope to achieve this? A situation where efforts at the official window before this government came on board was about 471 naira to $1. And currently we are talking about 1,500 to $1. Now, almost all the raw materials we use to manufacture medicals in this part of the world is being imported. So the raw material you were buying for exchange rate of 471 naira as against the current 1,500, definitely it will increase and it will impact on the end product. Because the president was still made it clear that day that he is determined to drive down the cost of medicals in the country. But this may not be achieved if all the policy of government remain intact and unreviewed. That's why I'm of the view that the government needed to review most of those policies. They're talking about how to drive down exchange rates. Now, we have seen the government through NNPC entering into deal with the World Bank, with some other monetary world bodies to secure loan, to see whether they could drive down the cost of exchange rates. But that has not worked because for me that is cosmetic and it's not sustainable. We have seen how the naira gained against dollar during the unitary period, but we understand why. Because of one, federal government issued a bond, I think Euro bond, and at the time people oversubscribed, and when they needed to sell the excess, that brought liquidity into dollar liquidity into our economy, and it was a necessity to drive down the dollar against Naira. I think that is part of the reason Naira gained against dollar during that period. Then the issue that has to do with the new platform of matching the selling of FS to knowing willing buyer and willing seller almost at a glance, though that one is sustainable. But the point is, I think the last one has to do with Nigerians who were coming home for Unity period, coming with FS and bringing more liquidity or liquidity of FS into our economy. Those were temporary, and we have seen that it's not sustainable. The only thing that is sustainable that will drive down the exchange rate is if we produce and export, and that is the point. Because where I'm going is, by the time you remove subsidy on gasoline, you are projecting to get 4 trillion at the end of the year. The government should have used that 4 trillion to aggressively and urgently diversify the economy into agriculture, solid mineral, and production sector, so that when we start exporting to start earning more foreign exchange from those areas, the government cannot go back to unify FS at the official window. I'm of the view that is timing for unification of FS at the official window is wrong. And I'm of the view that the government should give it a second attention to see whether it can be reviewed. Maybe peg it for some particular essential commodities. Because I understand that the in window does not mean that everybody looking for FS will get it at peg rate. But if you are going for medicals, for instance, any essential goods and services will benefit from that window, and it will drive down the cost of those things that are essential in the country. I think that is what was obtainable under Muhammadu Buhari, under Jonathan, under Obasanjo, under Yar'Adua, before the government came on board and abruptly floated dollar at the official window. So to conclude this conversation, I'm of the view that the government should give a second thought to that education of FS at the official window. Thank you very much. Please let me down, Mr. Matthew.